Sorry. Okay, let's go.
No, it's good. It's good. I like it.
All right. I've only done these with James, and every time I always black out, or he blacks out. Someone blacks out every time. But cool. Well, sorry about that. We'll get it figured out at some point.
Oh, you're fine.
So yeah, I wanted to have you guys. Well, thanks for doing this today, and especially on like last minute for the most part. I wanted to have you guys on because, well, first I love watching you guys race, and I'm a big fan of Hyrox, Deka, and everything else. So it's always cool to talk to athletes that I love watching and that I've seen just get out and smash things. So
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You guys really do. You guys really do inspire and motivate myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people. So thank you. And but yeah, Katie, I've talked to you a little bit just about your background, kinda a little bit, and
yeah.
But if you want to start with you, just kind of give a little background, a little race experience and stuff like that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, well, it really starts. I was a collegiate Division I soccer player, and then after college, started getting into just like running races, mostly half marathons. And then a couple of years ago, my friend was like, "Hey, you should try a Spartan." So I ran the Utah Super, and I won my age group. So I started running elites, and then started winning some of those. And then someone took me to a Deka class in Boise, and that's where I met Greyson. And I was like, "Hey, you were on the Spartan Pro team. You should probably just coach me." So he started coaching me. I started doing Deka, and turns out I'm pretty good at those too. So it just kind of started from there. And I really enjoy the training, so it's fun.
And that's all been in the last 2 years.
The last 2 years for Spartan and Deka.
Okay.
But
okay.
Been an athlete my whole life, though.
Yeah. Awesome. And what about you, Greyson?
Yeah, I was a college decathlete. So when hybrid racing came around, I was like, man, finally something that makes sense to me. So yeah, track and field was kind of my life. Was a runner, kind of a heavy runner. And after college athletics, I found Spartan racing pretty quickly and made it a goal to make it onto the Spartan Pro team, and did that from 2017 until like right before it really wasn't a thing anymore. And then, yeah, I just started Killgore coaching here in the Boise area, and really focused on local athletes kind of to start. And then when Deka came to town, I was like, finally, here's my chance. So I started working specifically on like Deka Strong, Deka Mile. And then more recently have re-engaged with racing. So did my first Deka Fit of what will be many. I need some redemption there. And Hyrox this weekend. So yeah.
That was your first. That was your first Deka Fit here in Southern California?
Yeah. Oh, and I was pumped about it. When they first came out with Deka, I was like, that's my race. I got to do that. That was 5 years ago. I've been dreaming of doing a Deka race for 5 years. So pumped to be there. But I think my excitement went out too hot. Need redemption, but I'll get it.
You also had Isaac Sanderson came out like a bullet and did not slow down one bit. And then my boy Glenn, he's another one that just watching him, I get to watch him locally. He was the first person to really smash me at a Deka Mile, actually. He showed up and I didn't know who he was at all. I had no idea who he was, and he came in and smashed. But yeah, you I felt like, especially hearing other people talk about race experience and all of that stuff. I mean, you were right there with him. And Katie, you too. You were in there with a stacked field of.
That's my problem. I'm always running against Lauren Weeks and stuff.
Yeah, that was a great race. Those were both great races, and then the team race that was about as exciting as that gets too. It was great.
Yeah, I think we found that we have the most fun in the team races. So
for sure.
Many more of those to come.
And you guys have in Deka, you guys have. What do you guys have records in that, right?
Yeah, we do, Katie. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
In all of them, or which?
Right now, just the Deka Mile. but we recently did a Deka Strong and did really well in that. And then we got second at the Deka Fit in Anaheim. So I think we're going to try to just sweep it at World Champs.
Yeah,
we are.
Great. What is, so this is your first Hyrox, and you're jumping right into the last chance qualifier. So it's I mean, I think it's great, because in my opinion, you're gonna be, everybody's showing up because obviously they want to win, they want to get that spot. What made you guys do this instead of jumping into like a doubles or something to kind of just get a feel for it?
Go ahead, Katie.
Yeah. Well, I think we're both just very driven competitive athletes. So when we first started talking about Hyrox, Greyson was kind of all in from the beginning. I took a little bit longer to convince. And at first I was like, oh, maybe I'll just do age group. And Greyson was like, you will be pissed if you go and carry lighter weights than other women. And I was like, yeah, you're right.
So
you're right. I can't do that. So, going in with my first race, like I have had really good performances in the last 2 years. So I got to wrap my head around like, yeah, I'm probably not going to podium, but I like just getting out there the first time and seeing what happens.
What about you, Greyson?
Yeah, man, I've had my eyes on Hyrox for a long time. Been excited to get into it. The last couple of years with my training, I've only been able to really focus on shorter stuff close to home. I got a daughter. She's just now 2. So for the last 2 years, all of my training was wrapped around like her nap times,
Mm-hmm.
And now that she's getting a little older, I can stretch out my training, and I'm like, okay, finally, it's my time to get into the races I've been dreaming about for a while. So, yeah, I've had my eyes set on Hyrox. I think it is a great event for me. I don't think I've honestly been able to showcase my capabilities in the hybrid racing world yet. I think I'm a better runner than what I have demonstrated so far. So the 8K distance excites me. And, from the coaching perspective too, I think it is ridiculous for me to think that I could coach someone to the best of my ability if I haven't been in the race and really learned what that feels like. So yeah, it's a business move for sure to get into Hyrox and experience it at that highest level. But it's also, like Katie said, we're competitors, man. Like there's no part of us that feels like doing anything but going toe to toe with the best and seeing where we stack up. So that's what we've always done from collegiate sports until now. So that's what we're going to do.
How old are you, Greyson?
I'm 32.
Okay.
Now you have to ask Katie the same question.
You can ask me.
How old are you, Katie?
I turn 38 next week, actually.
That's what I thought.
So,
That's what I thought. And I didn't know that you had a daughter, Greyson. I was going to ask you about that. And then, Katie, you have 2 kids, right?
Yeah, my daughter is 9 and my son is 7. So my schedule is definitely lined up in the last couple years, which allows for more training as well. But I think those years of stroller running and then running to a park, doing a workout, running home, that's great hybrid training.
Yeah, that's what I did when my daughter was born. We got one of those double bob jogger or whatever. And then when my son was born, we got the double. And then as soon as my daughter could ride a bike, then she would ride beside us, and then we just kept transitioning out. But I try to encourage that so much, and now our kids know the whole city. Our kids know how to they know how to navigate the streets and everything, and then just learning safety and all of that stuff. It's great.
That's cool.
Greyson, you said a heavy runner. What do you mean by heavy runner?
Yeah, good question. In Spartan race, I was on this pro team, right? And I'd look around and we'd become friends, right? And talking about our stats and how much we weigh. And I'd start to realize like, okay, so like I'm 185 pounds and all the dudes that I'm Spartan racing against that are on that podium are 140 to 160 pounds. And so as you start to kind of study endurance running, you're like, well, that matters. So in the elite world, an elite mountain runner or elite runner is going to be 140 pounds or less. And there's outliers, right? But I think most people in the hybrid space or in the obstacle racing space would agree that like if you're 160 to 170 pounds or heavier, you would be considered a heavier runner if you're trying to hit certain paces, you know. I know there's a lot of people that, like my dad would tell me, like, no, dude, you're a small runner. But you know, I think that when I say heavy runner, I think, all right, so this level of speed that I think I can bring to the table, paired with the strength that I have to push a heavy sled and carry some heavy stuff, you know, perfect for this kind of competition.
And that's what you weigh now, is about 185?
Yeah, yep. I try to, during like a big off season where I'm lifting heavy, I'm going to get up to 195 and try to build as much strength as I can. And then I will often, by the time I like, you know, this is, we're Katie and I are coming to the end of literally an 18-week training cycle to prepare for this race. So,
okay.
So yeah, 18 weeks ago, I was 195 pounds. Today I'm 184 and lean and ready to race.
And Katie, you've put on like 30 pounds of muscle?
At least. Not more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have the opposite problem of Greyson. I like show up to these races and I'm like, man, I wish I had 5 more pounds on me.
I'm telling you, I felt so bad. I think you and I started talking, I don't know, what was it? Maybe like October, September, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to you about Hyrox, and then I started just like looking at your pictures and all that. I was like, okay, all right, that's sled.
Yeah, don't feel bad. My coach did the same thing, and then he like trained me for a while. I was like, oh, okay, I don't need to worry, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, my perspective has changed on Hyrox also. Just doing, I think this will be my 6th race this weekend, and the sled was the first race that I did. I went to the sled and I tried to take 2 steps, and I turned around to my wife and I said, I don't know what the fuck is going on right now, but this is not happening. It's the first time I've ever did anything like that in any triathlon, Ironman, anything. Mm-hmm. And my wife even looked at me and she goes, what do you mean? What do you mean? And anyways, after that, at that time, there was just nothing that compared to that Hyrox sled. Mm-hmm. And since then, I think that the torque tank, honestly, or at least mine, I don't know if mine's broke or what, but this sucker feels like the last few Hyrox sleds. Mm-hmm. But when I saw you in Anaheim, Katie, again, it was you're I mean, obviously you're not a massive lady, but you're like solid muscle. And you too, Greyson. Greyson showed up looking like freaking Captain America. You guys both look like superheroes. And then today I was listening to I was just listening to this last Race Brain, and Rich, when they brought you up, Katie, when they drafted you, and Rich said, well, her frame, she's got a small frame. And I just started laughing in my car. That was like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
The pop that you guys, one of the things that I noticed the most about you guys racing was your pop and your cadence. And it in the stations, it didn't really seem to slow down. Is there something there with you guys? Is it going against each other? Like, are you guys having like burpee offs, or what do you guys got going on up there?
Are you talking about the race, the team race specifically?
Yeah. Well, a thing that really stands out was the box overs, watching you guys do box overs. And I think Katie, you did, or at least, watching you do box overs. Mm-hmm. And then at the end with the ram burpees, it just seemed there was no hinging. There was no pause at any point. It seemed like, whether it was, going down to the ground or coming off the box, going over the box, everything just kept moving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think my soccer background helps a lot with some of those movements, and with like the footwork and stuff for the D-ball or for the box step overs. That agility really comes into play. And I think, I'm super competitive with burpees. So in my head, I was just like robotic, like just don't stop. Yeah. Keep that pace the whole time.
Yeah, man, Brian, I got to tell you, Katie and I were coaching together for a Deka mile training class, and we were focusing on teams specifically. And we're coaching one of my athletes, and he was kind of lowering himself down to the ram. There's a group of guys that were like gently lowering themselves down to the ram. And Katie's like, no, dive on that sucker. Like, why would you lower yourself down? Like like belly flop on that ram and get back off the ground. And the dude says, but what if I break my ribs? And Katie says, yeah. Like, so she's like that hardcore about it. She's like, I don't care if you break your ribs, dive on that ram. She's that intense about it. And if I could speak to the frame thing too, when we're talking about like Katie specifically, when she first started talking about Hyrox, the first thing I said, which was stupid of me, I said, yeah, you're kind of small. I wonder how you would, she was dealing with like a few aches and pains at times. Like, I wonder how you would handle the volume. And she got like pretty pissed at me right from the start, to have like made a comment about her being too small for something. And then I immediately was eating my words as I found out that she is pound for pound one of the strongest people I've ever met. There are very few people in this world that can carry their own body weight in their hands, and she can do that very easily in a farmer's carry. So yeah, I listen to all the podcasts. I hear people say all the time, yeah, Katie's a little bit smaller. That doesn't even raise my heart rate at this point. I know how strong she is. So small frame, I don't think it matters. She's going to bring it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then also, I'm sure you guys have seen it, at least at Deka's, I would think, and Hyrox. You see these people that show up and they look like high level tight ends or wide receivers, and they get broke off. Broke off. They're walking, within the first couple of laps. People that look like they're about as athletic as you can get. And by no means did I ever think that you didn't look athletic, Katie. I just I was worried about the sled, man.
Well, I mean, I'm still a little worried about the sled. We'll see.
I think you're going to be, I think you're going to be, I think you're going to be just fine. And again, I think it is just and that was, like I said, I wanted to talk to you guys from like an age grouper's perspective, because I think that if you're worried about it and you face whatever adversity within the race and you go to push that sled and it's a second station and it's breaking you off, and sometimes it's like almost like an out for people, instead of it just being kind of like a little hill while you're running. It's like you're not done. You're just done in this second. You're going to get through this, and then everything else is almost going to be easier. Well, kind of, right? But and for me, I try to keep that in mind. And now the sled, and I am nowhere near your guys' ability, but the sled the sled push is the easiest station for me now. And now cool. it's trying to get through the freaking, like the burpees, man. The burpees, if you got to watch okay, so that's a question that I have. Are there stations, or a station in particular, that you guys are not necessarily questioning, but maybe you spent a little bit more time on, you didn't feel too comfortable with, or are you guys just going total package?
You can answer first.
Yeah, we've been fortunate enough to have access to equipment that can replicate a lot of these stations pretty closely. So we've actually been on, even though we haven't raced yet, we've done the best we can to set up the exact same sled push and pull that Hyrox has to offer. So I think that's been helpful to us. But definitely initially, I think if we're speaking to age groupers or just people jumping into this for the first time like us, we're going, okay, so that sled looks really heavy. How does someone even run after pushing and pulling something that heavy? That farmer's carry looks stupid long. Like, how do I run with kettlebells in my hands? And especially when you're looking at videos of people doing all of these things unbroken, you're like, okay, so that's pretty intimidating at first. So I get it as someone who's coming into a first race, just like maybe many people will be doing down here in Anaheim. There's some big stations down there, but I think that's also the appeal of it, honestly. I think I've told Katie a handful of times, I haven't been scared of a race in years. I can't remember the last time I was afraid of like a course or an event itself. There's times where I've worried about who's showing up, but it actually feels really cool to be a little bit afraid of that farmer's carry, or like worrying that I might get totally crushed by those wall balls. And honestly, I won't. We are well trained. I think we're really good at programming for the events we're going into. But there is that element, like the reason that some people might question how well we're going to do stacked up against these other athletes is that whole thing you and I were talking about where, yeah, we haven't done it before. Like having the experience matters. But with all that said, I think we're well trained. I think we've programmed really well. So I'm going in confident. I think we can handle every single station. And I think we're ready to rip.
Is the farmer's carry, are you just using that as an example, or is that something that you really, is that something that's really on your mind?
Oh,
that
definitely.
one's on my mind.
Really?
Yeah, tell him, Katie. Tell him.
But I mean, well, I don't know. I weigh 120 and I'm carrying 100, and in Deka, it's nothing. Deka, I'm carrying 40s, and I'm great at the farmer's carry in that, and it's only 100 meters. So twice as long, a little bit more weight at towards the end of the race. Yeah, that one gets me a little.
Yeah, you're.
But all of them are so mental too for me. Like, and I was actually doing a workout today, and I was thinking, I was like, God, you get done with a machine right in time to be like, yeah, I'm ready to run again. Like, let's be done with this. And so that's the nice thing I think too, is like, by the time you're done with that 1,000 meters of running, you're like, yeah, I'm ready to do something else. So I think the variety of movement is like something that really appeals to me too.
That's okay. I didn't think about you being 120 pounds.
Yeah, I know you guys are just talking about how strong I am, but that's definitely what I'm worried about. Well, the lunges lunges and wall balls are going to suck. Like, just like the assault bike sucks in Deka, it's just, it is what it is.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. It totally makes sense when you put it that way, especially, I mean, you're carrying pretty much the same weight that I am, but I weigh 80 more pounds than you. So
That matters. Yeah.
Yeah. That it definitely matters there for sure. I guess that is definitely a station that I wouldn't have, I don't know. I just never thought about it. I think it could catch up really quick in my mind, in my experience with my races. It definitely catches up. And I've had races where I dropped the kettlebells 4 times and then I went the whole way with it, so I don't know. I don't know what, I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason really. With
Brian, can I jump in there for a second?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of you mentioned wanting to talk to open racers. I think, I don't know if someone doesn't have access, say you're a guy training for the pro weights or whatever weights you're training for. If you don't have access to heavy kettlebells or even access to a long enough length in a gym, like a lot of times we find ourselves, the gyms that we train in are not very big. So we find ourselves literally doing a 10-meter sections at a time, which can totally get in your head about something like a heavy farmer's carry with all, how many turns you're doing in that training scenario. So I think something that's been helpful for me that I would recommend in training, if you can only do 10 meters at a time, do it, because those turns are only going to make you stronger. Or if you don't have kettlebells and you're carrying dumbbells, that's different. That's like a different kind of heavy and a different demand on your grip. So if you can get a chance to find somebody with some kettlebells that are the actual weight and actually lay out a distance that is more reasonable to what you might experience in a Hyrox, that's actually going to build confidence for someone in something like the farmer's carry where 10 meters at a time, that's going to kind of tank your confidence. Those turns are going to slow you way down. So that's something for me that I've learned is my confidence has gone up when I've created a more race-like environment.
Yeah. Do you, when you do those things, are you going beyond, say, the 200 meters or whatever it is for Hyrox? Are you doing 250, or are you trying to do a speed thing, or what do you guys do up there?
Katie, do you want to answer?
Yeah, I think we mostly stick to the actual weights and distances. I think Greyson knows as my coach, where my weaknesses are, what injuries I'm prone to or things like that. So I think we have to train really smart in a lot of ways. And I think doing too many, too heavy, too many reps, lately with the sled, we've been doing the actual weight for the first couple rounds and then dropping it and just going through the reps and the motions a little bit more, just to not let those heavy sled pushes catch up, in the next few days after that.
Totally.
So with sorry, Greyson, did you?
No, you're good.
Okay. With wall balls even, is that something like, do you guys ever try to go like unbroken, or are you trying to figure out a pace? Like how have you been able to dial that in at all, or what you think you're going to be able to do in the race?
I've been trying to like pace it a little bit more, rather than just go unbroken. I think for me that reminds me of like burpees at the end of the Deka, right? It's just a repetitive motion. You just kind of keep going, keep ticking them off. But I think, for women, going heavier doesn't necessarily help, because it's not going to mimic that same pace that you're going to do in the race.
Mm-hmm. I would add kind of across the board for all of these stations, and maybe I'm speaking too confidently as someone who's never actually raced Hyrox yet, but I think there's training concepts here that are universal to Deka, to hybrid racing, to Spartan racing, whatever you're doing out there. There is a time and a place for just about everything. So there's a time to do an actual like race simulation for that station where you're going to do the exact weight, the exact distance. I think there's a lot more time out there that should be spent doing lighter and less. I think in general, good programming operates from the perspective that I need to live to fight another day. And with Hyrox stations, it's really easy. If you were to go out there and try to write some of your own workouts, it'd be really easy to say, well, I need to be able to handle this for 200 meters. So I'm going to do this for 200 meters until I feel confident. But what's probably going to happen is you're going to be so jacked up from day one that you're not going to do much on day two. You'll be super stiff on day three. So in general, I think it makes a lot of sense if we're talking wall balls or farmer's carry to say it's fine to do half the distance for a lot of your programming. It's fine to do a little bit lighter weight on your sled push or on your farmer's carry, like Katie was talking about. And then your coach, or if you're programming for yourself, should really choose your moments. We're going to say, okay, today's the day. I'm going to go actual race weights, actual race distance, and I'm going to lock it in that way. So I think there are times where going heavier is helpful for me specifically, and for Katie too, actually. Like earlier this winter, when we were in a really heavy strength focused phase, we were pushing gnarly sleds, just like heavy stuff, way beyond what we're actually going to experience in the race, but only doing that like 10 meters at a time. So just really trying to get that like neurological adaptation to that super heavy weight. So that was a long answer, but that's where I'm at.
No, when you're saying neurological response, when you say that, when I hear that, do you mean just mentally prepared, or your actual like brain getting used to functioning with your body properly?
Totally. There's a lot of strength training that should happen in the hybrid racing world that is not necessarily about mass, and it's also not necessarily about endurance. Both of those things matter, but neurological adaptation is when we're talking about the actual like nervous system in your nervous system being able to handle a certain load better than it did a day before, or weeks before, or months before. So in strength training, there's probably the thing that happens fastest for an athlete is neurological adaptation. So before you gain mass, you're probably going to be able to move weight better, just because your nervous system is adapting and that neuromuscular connection is getting more efficient.
Okay. And then I know mechanics, at least, like when I asked you about the ram burpees, and you said, I wonder how fast you could go if you did like a snatch, if you got like the snatch, and I took about 15 seconds off my round. So
yeah, you did. That's awesome.
There's a lot of and then doing even just box overs now, you saying stay low. When somebody comes to the gym with you guys, so CrossFit used to have like the foundations, right? Like you would do it with like a PVC pipe, and you would do those movements. Are you guys doing stuff like that to get people prepared to be like more efficient at wall balls, to be more efficient at, I mean, like a skier, even not like flailing their arms around and doing stuff like that? Like, how do you guys approach that? Like a new person getting into this?
You want to go, Katie?
Yeah, I mean, I think I help quite a few of the women that come to some of our Deka classes that are newer and that have a lot of those technical questions. And I'll tell them to go lighter or just do like 10 reps with the burpees, things like that. Just so they can get confident in that movement pattern, because it's just not as natural to a lot of people. And then same with like the box step overs. I think it's really technique stuff. So Deka is just a little different because the weights are lighter, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. Hybrid racing, I say this all the time in our Deka classes and in my one-on-one sessions. Hybrid racing is full of transitions. And I think we talk about fitness and capability all the time, but strategically, in a Deka fit, there's minutes of transitions out there if those are done poorly. In a Deka mile, I tell people 30 seconds up to a minute. Even if you're an elite, one of the fastest people in the world, you could leave 30 seconds on the table just in transitions and technique alone. So yeah, if I have someone book a session with me and they say, hey, I want to work on, shaving some time in Deka, they might be super fit, but I'm going like, man, you just walked 10 steps between your run and the start of your station. So what I'll actually do in terms of transitions, like if I see an athlete walking to a station, I'll start yelling 1, 2, 3, and just counting off seconds, like too slow. So there's a lot out there in hybrid racing where I think that a person really should be trying to dial in that technique. If you've ever seen a video of Katie doing her burpees, they're pretty much flawless, and she's one of the fastest in the world at it. But it's because she's dialing in that technique. She's thinking about where like the ram is contacting her abdomen, things like that. So yeah, we spend a lot of time thinking about those little details, the transitions, all of those pieces. Because honestly, Deka and Hyrox are only going to get more competitive. So if you're not caring about that stuff, you're not qualifying.
Yeah, even a perfect example for me is the Deka down here. Was I podiumed by 3 seconds, and then thinking about like if I would have taken a breath or if I would have done whatever, or like then that's gone. And then you're absolutely right about Katie and her burpees. I do have a video. I have a video of her doing those, and it's insane. It's awesome.
It's insane, Katie. It's crazy.
It is. It's wild. And the other thing that they said on Race Brain today was that you said that you guys are both going in the second. You'll be in the second heat.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do you like either way, would you, obviously it's not time, but you have to beat people to get these spots. So I guess going in the second wave, it would be a little weird. So does that change your mindset, or do you guys have specific times in mind, like where you want to be after the row or after the sled push or pull or anything like that? Or I don't want you guys to tell all your secrets or anything, but I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, I mostly like I really want to just pace well. Like being my first race, I don't want to blow up, honestly. So I think I'm really focusing on my run paces. At Deka Worlds in the fit last year, I was not happy that my run got so much slower at the end. So this last Deka fit, that was my focus, like keep those runs consistent. And so I kind of want to focus more on that. As far as the heat goes, I mean, honestly, it's a little bit less pressure in some ways not being in the first heat. But I know Greyson really wants to be in the first heat because he's super. But for me, I like being the first time. I'll earn that, I hope. So
how many people are they sending out in the heats? Do you know?
I don't know if it's 10 or 12.
Man, because
I have no idea.
The last Anaheim, they had us. I think it almost sounds ridiculous, but I want to say that they had 50 people, and wow. I know that does not seem right, but I'm trying to picture all the ski ergs and everything that they had lined up. It was a ton of people. So I'm curious how many people are in these races with you guys. How many people like total are, how many people are jumping in? I can't wait. I think it's going to be amazing. When are you guys getting into town?
Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I'm coming in on Saturday too.
Are you guys bringing family, going to Disneyland or anything like that?
No.
No, none of that stuff. Just in and out.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we joked about this with our group when we were down there for Deka Fit. No one, not a single person in our group, there's 5 of us, I think, had any interest in going to Disneyland. I'm like, oh, this is the perfect group for us.
Yeah, and it's right across the street.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right across
Everyone
the
looks miserable coming out at the end of the day.
They're pretty.
They look like
they're
they
pretty,
ran a Hyrox and they have strollers. It's terrible.
Yeah, yeah, they're pretty tore up when they are coming out of there. Well, what's next after Hyrox? What you guys have anything coming up after that?
Hopefully just getting outside. We got a couple Spartans lined up this summer, so I'm excited to get out on my mountain bike a whole bunch this summer and get on the trails a little bit more. Get off the machines inside.
You were supposed to say you're headed to France, Katie, because you're going to get one of the spots.
Yeah, she is.
Greyson. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be I don't know. I just, again, I can't, I think it's awesome. I keep saying that, but I'm as excited for you guys as if I was racing. I think I get fired up racing, so I can't imagine how you guys feel about it right now. You guys get to go up against some of the best people in the world, and it's going to be great. It's the best test you can get, I think, right now in the sport.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you guys want to add?
Good luck to everybody going.
You know what? My friend Jill, she said that she comes up there. You guys, is your gym is Epoch? Is that correct?
Yeah. That's I work at Epoch Training Center. Katie, tell them about your place real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I run a physical therapy clinic here. I'm the clinic director, and I set it up to really try to treat endurance athletes, CrossFitters, that kind of stuff. So I got a rig, I got a sled. It's pretty cool. I got some sweet murals in here, some graffiti that not everyone in the company supported in the beginning, but it's a pretty sweet gym. So
yeah, it is.
I'm pretty spoiled in that sense.
Is it all connected? Are you guys in the same spot?
No, Epoch is about 2 minutes from my place. So
okay.
It works out pretty well.
Yeah, Jill said she is with Brian Mitchell.
He owns an Epoch.
Yeah, she does the.
Wait, Jill. Jill, who's one of the trainers at Epoch. Jill.
No, Jill owns her and her husband own Energy Lab here in Redlands.
Oh yeah.
And so they were the first Deka affiliate out here, like I want to say in Southern California. And so she does the mastermind classes with I believe with Brian and Todd Durkin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my introduction to Deka, was through Jill. And she's like one of my greatest friends. And she mentioned when she saw that I was doing this with you guys, that she really enjoys it. She was coming up to those classes and doing all that stuff.
That's funny. No, you're fine. That's funny because when I actually met, Brian is my boss and my mentor. He is one of the greatest people I've ever met. He's been so awesome to Katie and I. Like, he helps take care of us when our bodies are banged up. And when I mentioned that I actually told him that we were talking with you today. And he goes like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that guy through my friends down there." So he's like, he's been in this, like, the fitness world for so long. He knows everybody everywhere. He's an awesome guy. So yeah, he's the owner of Epoch, and just an awesome dude. One of my favorite people.
Awesome. Yeah, the coolest really that's the coolest thing about all of this is getting to connect. And it might sound cheesy or whatever, but it really is, and even for me with coffee, it was like, I'm going to be at these events, I'm going to be doing all of these things, and getting the coffee out there and just getting people. I say it a lot. It's how I started every training session, getting up in the morning, drinking coffee, running. And then that's how, I met you, Katie, obviously was through the coffee stuff. And just the main thing is getting the kids motivated, getting kids to see these things. And little things like, Katie, like you wearing our socks, it just pumped my kids up. And then
that's awesome.
yeah, it's cool. And then,
That is
you know,
cool.
we've got the Rincons here in Redlands, and their kids have grown up with our kids, and he wears the Resolute socks to like the ninja competitions and everything, because he says they're his lucky socks. So these are all
Nice.
these are just, I mean, I'm doing it to try to stay healthy, right, and make friends and just stay positive in whatever way I can. But I think that those little things and just being cool and you know, creating this next generation of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, these animals, and hopefully keep them humble and keep them positive and keep them encouraging everybody else in the community. So, you know, I appreciate it. You guys are super friendly, and you could tell that it's very genuine. It's genuine, and there's not an ounce of ego that I've experienced out of either one of you. You have to be confident, man. You have to be confident, but in I don't know, you know, in a time where you have to be kind of provocative or whatever to gain, you know, followers or whatever the case may be. I just think it's great that you guys are just letting your abilities and you know, your actions speak for you. And I hope you continue to do that. I look forward to seeing you guys Sunday. I don't know why it's on.
Are you
Sunday,
coming?
but
I didn't think you were going to be there.
yeah, so I am going to be there. I'm racing, but then I have to, it's our kids' last circus show on Sunday. So I got to make sure I got to get back for that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And
that's important.
I don't know. Yeah, it's most important. But I know Matt Davis was saying that you guys are, and Rich, you guys at like 7:30 or something real late, or is that the relay? One of them's real late.
The relay, I think, is the last one. I think I'm at like 6:20. So
Yeah.
it's a late night.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll miss that, but hopefully
Hmm.
somebody will have it streaming. So
Yeah.
Do you guys plan on hanging out throughout the day, or are you guys just going to show up for your races, kind of rest and show up?
I haven't thought that far ahead.
I definitely have thought that far ahead. I have let's see, I've got 4 other athletes competing this weekend. So, you know, it is actually a little unique to say, okay, I'm racing later this evening. I've got to take care of my body, stay off my feet, but also I'm coaching. So I'm trying to come up with a strategy for how to be in that venue and helping my people while also trying to also be an athlete. That's not the easiest thing, by the way. I'm learning that. So I'm going to be in the venue a little bit earlier to see some of my athletes, but I don't know the exact timing of all of that yet.
Have you guys ever actually even been to a Hyrox at all? Oh man.
We were actually just texting.
I'm very excited just for the like experience too. You know, and you were saying like the hybrid world is it's such a cool community, I think, of athletes. And you know, even if you're in the elite world, like everyone talks and like we all joke around. And like last Deka Fit, I ran up and gave Bubbles like the biggest hug you could give someone. Don't even know him that well, but gave him a real big hug. And I think it's just really fun to be able to like hang out at the venue. So we'll be there like walking around and stuff and getting hyped up probably.
It's in my opinion, I'm not just saying that right now because it's what I'm into. It is one of the coolest environments of any competition that I've ever been to at all. And it's all day. As soon as they open the doors, it's like good music. It's not overbearing. It's not like you're, you know, you want to get out of there and your head's pounding. It's really cool. Everything from, I mean, I don't know if you guys ever met Eric E-Rock, but he was the first, like the MC at first. And I think the guy's name is Derek now. And he's the same thing. Just I just try, there's a couple people coming from local CrossFit gyms from Redlands that are competing now that went to the last one. And I just told them, just come check this out. This is, you're going to be in, I promise. And, yeah, they all wish they would have brought the right clothes and shoes last time so they could have jumped in.
Oh, that's cool.
Hyrox the other thing that I hope to do with you guys, and there's no like rush or anything, but in like a week or two, kind of get like a recap of like what, you how things did go. How did the farmer's carry go? How did the sled go? Like and then maybe, kind of go over and get some adjustments if you guys don't mind that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, that sounds so good. Yeah, man, Brian, that's one thing we've been talking about is just the fact that the Hyrox environment has been out there for so long and we haven't been a part of it yet has really bugged us. Like, we are anxious. And it's something we've talked about. We're like, man, we got yeah, we want to race. Obviously we want to race, but man, we got to get in there. And I think a part of that is if you're a hybrid racer, listen to this, would maybe be able to associate with this feeling. But for so many years of my life, wherever I was, I didn't feel like I was quite with my people, in whatever setting that may be. But man, I would show up to a Spartan race or a Deka event, or something like that, and be like, oh dang, these are my people. They get me. They're hungry. They're driven. People that are excited about just seeing what's physically possible. People who are curious about their own physical capability. Those are our people. So super pumped to be down there in that venue and being around like-minded people. So yeah, we'll be there. I love just talking with whoever is around. So if you see one of these blue Killgore coaching shirts floating around, come find us, come talk to us. We'd love that.
Yeah, heck yeah. That it is really you, and you're not lying. I mean, I saw you at Deka and I had never met you, and just started talking, introduced myself, started talking to you.
Yeah.
And you're and like you said about Bubbles and everybody, there hasn't been an athlete that has given any in my family, at least, any kind of I don't know, cool guy. Nobody's been a cool guy. My kids love going and seeing Lauren race. And
so good.
And now, of course, even today, she was like, "Oh, are you going home to talk to Katie?" So now you're her friend, Katie. You just because.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
I love that.
All right. Well, cool. I won't keep you guys any longer. Again, I appreciate you doing this, and thank you for your insight. I love hearing it, and yeah, hopefully people will can get something from it. And I think, like you also said, just reach out. If people have questions, they should reach out to athletes like you. Everybody's been very open and willing to help out. So thank you. You guys have anything else?
Thanks. No, thank you, Brian.
All right, cool. I will see you
Hopefully
guys Sunday.
see you this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay. You too.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.